Hi, everyone, and welcome to this wrap-up episode of the Explicitly Pro-Life podcast. I'm Kristan Hawkins, and this is the end of Season 3. We have reached over 100 episodes of Explicitly Pro-Life, and I am so grateful for all of your subscriptions and references and, referring these episodes to your family and friends. It has been such an honor to have you all tune in every week and hear your feedback and your comments and your questions. So keep sending them in to, me on my Instagram or Facebook or even on my email, kristanstudentsforlife.org. But today I wanted to just do a quick wrap up and overview of this past season. We had 19 shows and we covered so many difficult topics. As you all know, the theme was having difficult conversations. And we really did that. We started out the season having a very difficult conversation. If you all remember back in January, we had Dr. Lee and Dr. Prentice from the Charlotte Lozier Institute. We talked about the COVID vaccine. This is something that's extremely controversial in American culture and within the pro-life movement right now. But there's a lot of information going around that sometimes isn't true. And so I wanted to have these bioethicists on, experts in stem cell research, to give us the truth about the COVID vaccine. I mainly did the episode for my mom too. So I hope you'll tune in. If you haven't listened to it, make sure you give it a listen. You share it on your social media. We also had Jason Jones from Movie to Movement come on, one of my favorite episodes of this season. Jason and I talked about movies with a pro-life message or movies with a pro-abortion message, and the best movies for activists like you and me to watch, to be fed. I had a conversation in January with a good friend of mine, Josh Tiarina from H&H Digital, which it was sort of Josh and I geeking out about having online conversations, how we at Students for Life have kind of been working on a conversion and changing pro-choice minds to pro-life minds. And it's a lot about what I've been doing in the day-to-day of Students for Life for the past few months, actually, and since the pandemic started. So if you want to know what I've been up to, definitely give that conversation a listen to. We also had Hans von Sparkowski from the Heritage Foundation come on. We talked about the H.R. 1 disaster, the For the Corrupt Politicians Act. This is a bill, if passed, it's currently stalled still in the U.S. Senate because they haven't convinced Senator Joe Manchin to vote for it yet because it would be a political death sentence, but it would fundamentally end our constitutional republic and make groups like ours at Students for Life and any pro-life group a target, any supporters of our organizations targets for the cancel culture mob. You have to tune into that episode. Lauren Mazika from Sidewalk Advocates came on. We talked about having difficult conversations on the sidewalk, having conversations that can actually save lives. Danielle D'Souza came on. She just wrote a new book called The Abortion Divide, and we talked about how she handled hard conversations when she was a student at Dartmouth. I actually spoke at Dartmouth a couple years ago with my son was with me, and at the time it was the most controversial, protest that was ever inspired by my presence. We had to be escorted out with police. It was insane. I always credit the fact that Gunnar was with me as to why the mob didn't turn violent. So hats off to her for surviving Dartmouth. I would love to go back there, though, someday. That would be a lot of fun. Michelle Hendrickson and I, she is our Eastern Field Director. We talked about liberals versus conservatives and how to have hard conversations. Michelle works with Students for Life, is an ordained minister, but is also fairly politically liberal. She and I disagree on a lot of things, but she's also one of our best converters on the Students for Life staff. And so I kind of dug into her mind and how she uses her liberal, sentiments to reach people and move them on this issue. Now, my favorite episode this season, and if you haven't tuned in this season, or if you've only given a couple shows a listen to, I'm not going to be mad at you, but I will be upset if you do not tune in to the episode with Dr. Byron Calhoun. Dr. Calhoun is a hero. He is a OBGYN in Charleston, West Virginia. I met him several years ago. He was at the leadership of APLOG, the American Association of Pro-Life OBGYNs. He specializes and has written paper after paper about high-risk pregnancy situations and how to treat both mother and child. I, didn't mince words in this episode. I asked him every single hard question that we as pro-lifers get time and time again, as the sort of justification for legal abortion. You have to tune in on this episode about poor prenatal diagnosis and how do we handle these hard cases. Please, please, please check out the episode and share it with everyone you know. We also brought back Missy Stone, the former field director of Students for Life, who left us, moved to Kentucky, and is now the director of operations for Reprotection, about this new organization, what they're doing in cities to shut down abortion facilities, and what you can do. And I can guarantee you, if you have an abortion facility in your city, they're doing some shady, bad stuff beyond killing human beings, stuff that you can probably get them shut down, arrested for, investigated for, cause them to have to pay tens of thousands of dollars in fines. So make sure you give a listen to that so you can check out Reprotection. I also had my friend Gary Ingold come on. He is the director of CPCI community pregnancy clinics in Naples, Florida. They're actually now spread out throughout the state of Florida. They have a fantastic model as a pregnancy center. And I often get asked by pregnancy center directors, by other pro-life young people and leaders and communities who want to start pregnancy centers, what are some best practices? How do we really reach out to young women and get on the college campuses? Gary and his team have figured out. Warning, I support CPCI. I find them to be one of the best pregnancy centers in the country. They're doing a phenomenal job. You have to give this episode a listen, especially if you work in the pregnancy center movement, you're considering going in and serving in that way on the front lines. I also interviewed Isabel Brown from Turning Point USA about her new book about how to disagree with your professor on campus. She actually went to UC Fort Collins, which we, Students for Life, I've already won one lawsuit against, and we're probably going to have to sue them again about a current case. It's one of the most liberal schools in the country. They're trying to become like the next Berkeley. And so her book is fantastic. And I think it's a great conversation for you to listen to about how you can have disagreements in class. I ended the season interviewing a Students for Life Action board member, Governor Scott Walker, the former governor of Wisconsin. He's now the president of Young America's Foundation. Governor Walker's launched this new long game with YAF. And we had a great conversation about cancel culture and what it means to stand up for your beliefs and how not to get canceled, which it's like really easy. Just don't let them cancel you. The only person that can cancel you is you. And then the last episode from this season was a very special one with Charlie Kirk and I from Turning Point. I was there at the Turning Point headquarters for the day. He interviewed me for his podcast, and I wanted you all to hear that conversation. I actually got to educate Charlie on a few different facts about abortion, which was very helpful, I think, and hopefully will be very helpful for him in the future. But I was able to ask him a couple questions at the end. I really want to get out, and you'll probably be seeing some clips at Students for Life about socialism and abortion. And it's actually an issue that I'm going to kind of take what Charlie and I talked about in this episode and hint it's going to be sort of a special season coming up in the next couple of months. So I hope you'll tune in. So that's a wrap on season 3. I didn't even get through all of the amazing folks who gave up their time to appear on the Explicitly Pro-Life podcast. But I found it to be quite the who's who among conservative and pro-life leaders. And I was just so honored to have so many esteemed guests and colleagues come on. If you haven't given a listen to season 2, while we're kind of in this break period as we're waiting for my special season and then season 4 to come out, more details coming soon. If you're lonely and miss my voice, which I find funny that anyone would miss my voice, but if you do, tune into season 2. Season 2 was Pro-Life 101. It was about 12 or 13 episodes, and we kind of went through like every single justification, argument for abortion. Great apologetics content. And I think you'll find a lot of information there in season 2 after you finish season 3 of having difficult conversations. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you all for subscribing. I cannot wait to air our special season coming up in the next month or so. And make sure you tell your friends to subscribe and binge listen to Explicitly Pro-Life. Bye.